Chapter 2. 24 hours later.
Abe Cohen, CBS sports journalist and renowned TV commentator, is standing once again in the jam-packed San Francisco gaming stadium, having his makeup applied in preparation for a live broadcast. He is a tall, 36-year-old successful man of the world, full of self-confidence and dressed accordingly. Even though it is an extremely hot summer's morning, he is immaculately dressed in a tailored lightweight pale gray suit, with a deep blue silk shirt unbuttoned enough to show that he works hard at staying fit. His light brown hair is cut in a short crew-cut style that suits perfectly his strong-jawed, tan handsome face, and deep somber brown eyes, which are his recipe for success with women. With the last brush of makeup applied, he lifted up his microphone, looked at the camera, and smiled.
Well, folks, here we are 24 hours on, and the greatest game on Earth is alive and well, although I can't say the same for some of the gamers.
With a saddened face, he announces,
Unfortunately, there have been some casualties overnight. Tragic ones, in fact, with the deaths of Dominator in New York, USA, Hindulite in Mumbai, India, Bushranger in Brisbane, Australia, and Vladivostok in Moscow, Russia. I am sure that many of you have seen the heartbreaking and dramatic footage on your news feeds. Our sympathies go out to all the families and friends of these brave gamers who we truly admire and revere, as they knew of the risks that they were facing and yet were still willing to combat the game. Small protest and religious groups have popped up around the world who are strongly voicing their opposition to these games, but their voices are falling on deaf ears. Because the whole world is captivated by this contest, and already millionaires have been made from fans who are actively participating in this unbelievable competition.
Abe then put on a serious face as he asked in his rich, deep voice,
Is this a game of mind against machine, or mind against computer? We believe neither. This is truly a battle of mind against mind, because the gamer appears to possess two minds. One that is ruled by fear, and one that is aware of reality. It is their mind of reality they are endeavoring to use, so that they can simply remember that they are only playing a game. To remember is to control the game, to remember is to create their own reality, and to remember is to avoid the terrifying experiences that have just taken 4 very brave lives.
He quickly points across the stadium and says excitedly,
As I look up to a major advertising platform, I can see the faces and names of those 4 brave young men who have paid the ultimate price appearing on the screen. Just listen to this, folks.
His voice becomes even more excited as he says,
You can hear the tumultuous roar of this capacity crowd, standing and applauding their bravery as they become aware of their images. They will not be forgotten, that's for sure. And just remember that this same scene will be occurring in 19 other major gaming stadiums, situated around the world, regardless of whether it is daytime or nighttime according to the time zone they are in. Billions of fans viewing on the internet and TV will also be given the opportunity to acknowledge their passing. We feel confident, though, that each of those gamers wherever they are now will be saying, let the games go on.
Now switching to his well-rounded sports statistician voice, he states,
So just to bring you up to date on what's been happening with the actual competition over the past 24 hours, we can officially say that there are now only 228 teams left, which means that 284 teams have been eliminated or retired because they have lost one of their members, either to a tragic death or suffering traumatic stress. I can confirm with you now that 32 gamers have been rushed to hospitals situated all around the world, and unfortunately here in our own fair city, 2 of our own, Krim from Team Alcatraz and Angela from Team Savior, have also been hospitalized suffering anxiety and hallucinations. Angela, one of our USA women competitors, has shown great faith, resilience, and incredible gaming skills during this competition, and will be sadly missed. Who would have believed, though, that Krim, a tough, no-holds-barred type of guy, who seemed to have a mind that was set like a steel trap, has also found himself broken by this game, that somehow finds a way to take over your mind. I am sure that all of you, along with ourselves, wish them both a speedy recovery, and we thank them sincerely for representing their fans so valiantly.
Abe now puts on a serious stance and looks the camera directly in the eye.
So this is the situation right now, folks. We started off with 26 teams playing in this stadium, and now we have just 11. It is important for you to know that these teams do not necessarily play each other at any time in the future, because game draws were randomly and publicly selected by a computer program at the beginning of these games. So far, all teams playing from this stadium have found themselves pitted against teams situated all around the world. I am still amazed at this technology, but anyway, getting on with the story, an algorithm selects their next opponents depending on the levels that they have reached, and the time it took to get there. The strongest then play the weakest, until eventually it is the strongest against the strongest. This can be a very brutal elimination as you only have one chance, lose the game, and you're gone. Now this is very important. On the last day, there will be just 32 teams left that will compete over the last 24-hour period, if all that time is required. To get to the final, 2 teams will have to win 3 games each. All stadiums will be screening the games, regardless of whether they have any teams playing live from their own gaming platforms. In other words, you can still experience the crowd atmosphere of the final games, even if they are not being played at your own stadium. How great is that? And now one more very important aspect of the final games you should know.
This time Abe gave a look of someone who was letting you in on a secret.
The amazing thing is that each time a team plays new opponents, they both start at the game level they finished at previously. So they could already be way ahead of their opposing team at the very beginning of the challenge. In other words, it is very important to reach the highest levels early in the competition. Because remember, the strongest play the weakest, and it is far better to be playing a team you are already ahead of than trying to make up ground. Now get ready for this, as I am just about to let you know some new gaming information that has only just been released, and it is mind-blowing.
He paused to savor the moment.
The final game to determine the winners of the greatest game on Earth will not feature any pathway dilemmas, where fans can vote to influence the actions taken by the individual gamer, because the teams will have all their 4 players playing the game at the same time. As you know, currently they play one after the other and hopefully achieve higher levels than their previous teammates reached. Don't despair though, fans, if you are thinking of the prize money, because you can still vote on your choices, but instead of affecting the game, they are recorded as usual. And a winner from both teams will be announced after the game. Now here is the kicker.
He burst out as he tried to contain his excitement.
When they play together, their majority choice of action is the one taken, but if they are split on a decision, caught in limbo, so to speak, the game randomly chooses a pathway for them which could turn out to be good or bad.
Abe stopped to wipe a couple of beads of sweat off his brow and prepared himself to drop his final bombshell news on his viewers.
In the final game, when the game flashes Pathway Dilemma, all 4 team members must totally agree on their course of action, and if not, they will lose their lives and are dropped back 2 levels, to encounter a totally different pathway to progress once again. Let's hope the final 2 teams have some extra sensory perception happening between them, because ultimately this will determine the outcome of the game. This is fantastic news.
His attention is then caught by the cheering around him.
Hey, take a listen to this crowd. This place is buzzing.
He said excitedly.
I know Aziza is in the thick of the action, so let's cross over to her now. How are you going, Aziza?
Aziza was standing amongst the huge crowd with her crew and security surrounding her.
I am fantastic, Abe, and I loved your analysis on how the game is progressing, and especially your kind words regarding the tragic losses of those 4 young men. My heart goes out to their families.
You could see that Aziza was visibly upset by the tragedies, but she put on a brave face as she enthusiastically shook her hair, beamed her cheeky smile, and continued speaking into her microphone.
We still have 11 teams left here, which we are thrilled about, and guess what? Galactic is one of them. I know, as a commentator, I shouldn't have favorites as I have interviewed many of the teams personally, but there's just something about Galactic that touches my heart. I don't know whether it's because they are made up of 2 boys and 2 girls, and yes, I have called them boys and girls for a reason, and that's because I'm in my 20s and still think of myself as a girl.
She giggled naughtily as she said,
I just refuse to get old. Life's too short to become an old fuddy-duddy, don't you agree?
The crowd around her laughed in agreement. Once again, this was Aziza's style because she always spoke what she thought. She had got into trouble over it time and time again, but she just shrugged it off.
I am what I am, and I will be what I am,
she would say. Another favorite saying of hers which she often used was, you gotta love life or life won't love you back. Well, one thing was for sure, her fans loved her, which was why she could get away with driving her network producers crazy at times. Aziza flicked her hair, opened her deep brown eyes wide, and looked directly into the camera, smiling.
If you will indulge me for just a moment, my beautiful viewing audience, as to the reasons why I love Galactic, and I will happily tell you, they are multicultural, yet have an unbreakable bond together. They are all equal and have enormous respect for each other. which is very rare to be shown so openly between men and women. They inspire each other to grow and be better than what they are now, and they epitomize to me what I would see as a perfect world. They see themselves as one, connected with love and understanding for each other, which is a great example of how we all should be living.
She laughed once again and said,
I'll get off my soapbox now, but I just wanted you all to know that the interview I had with them yesterday moved me very much. That was the real thing. They made me cry with joy. And I never got the opportunity to finish that interview the way I wanted to, so I am doing it right here. Good luck, Galactic.
She yelled.
And good luck to all the teams here. I love you all.
The crowd cheered enthusiastically because she was so popular with people from all walks of life. She knew how to relate and they felt it. She was genuine and she was one of them. In the preparation center of Galactic, the team had been watching Aziza on their TV screen as she broadcast her heartfelt message. Lotus was the first to speak.
What beautiful words. I never told you, but she has a wonderful aura around her, and I must admit that I felt a very deep bond with her immediately we met.
The rest of the team heartily agreed, and while they sat silently on the circular couch, still trying to re-energize from yesterday's stresses of the afternoon and late-night games, Zawtun took this opportunity to assess how his friends were holding up. He had noticed that Gamechanger was much quieter this morning, not up to his usual antics of trying to make everyone laugh, which was more likely to be because his second game had been quite traumatic. All the gamers understood that in moments of extreme terror, the logical side of their brain often shuts down and is taken over by the limbic system, which tends to be more emotional and vulnerable to being reactive, seeking short-sighted solutions. This is why so many people who have witnessed horrific incidents can lose their memory of what actually happened. Unfortunately, those incidents which have never been addressed or analyzed logically are stored randomly in the illogical part of the brain, and even a loud sound can become a potential threat and trigger immense emotional fear. Gamechanger had gone through 2 incidents of that extreme fear which thankfully he doesn't recall, although he would still be able to remember the less terrifying challenges. Overall though, Zawtun thought he was holding up really well. Fempower was his next focus, and she looked as if she had everything completely under control, but she had shown an out-of-character flash of anger this morning when Gamechanger accidentally bumped into her, and although she apologized immediately and gave him a kiss on the cheek, you could see that she had been shocked by her outburst. Lotus was sitting comfortably cross-legged on the lounge and appeared to be meditating, although Zawtun knew that she was fully conscious and was just doing some mental clearing. Out of all of them, himself included, she seemed to be coping the best. Her tranquility and calm mind was serving her well. As for himself, he felt a little tired and was continually working on himself to clear any stress from his body. As he had been raised as a Buddhist, he was well equipped to do this work, feeling secure with the knowledge that nothing was permanent and all was constantly changing.
Hey guys,
he said.
I forgot to mention that Aarif called a couple of minutes before we saw Aziza on the TV. It slipped my mind to tell you that he will be bringing over a mind coach he has just met, who can help improve our focus for these last few games. He also said that Teresa will be coming over at the same time.
It will be good to see them,
replied Fempower in a tired voice.
But I thought we were going to go back to the hotel after we practiced and get some rest, as we have a game late this afternoon.
I told him that,
he answered.
But he was really excited and said it was essential that all of us, including Teresa, should meet this guy, because he felt that he is a key to helping us win this competition.
Wow, that's a big call from Aarif, and not like him,
reflected Gamechanger.
He is always so objective and controlled, forever keeping our feet on the ground, which is why he is a great manager. One thing he is definitely not is a pie-in-the-sky dreamer, so this guy we are going to meet must be something else,
Lotus casually observed in her usual caring manner.
I wonder why he wants Teresa here, because she has been flying all over the country, setting up our publicity and appearance schedules, and I know she only flew back this morning, so she must be exhausted.
Evidently Aarif must think it is important that we all get together,
replied Zawtun.
Well, luckily we don't have to change from our training gear, as there will be no cameras here,
remarked Fempower cheerfully. The team were all wearing their purple Galactic t-shirts, along with the same color shorts and their own different colored bright sneakers, and not surprisingly, the fluorescent orange shoes on Gamechanger were definitely the standout. From the first days of coming together as a team, they had all decided that when they practiced, it was important to always dress like a team, one for all for one. This was their motto that they were living by, and this is what had driven them to bond together so quickly as a very tight unit. As the door chimed, a green light started flashing on each wall, which alerted them just in case they were unable to hear it when wearing their headsets. One of their ways of mental preparation was to listen to their favorite music or relax to meditation and mental suggestion recordings to help focus their minds.
I'll get it, man,
said Gamechanger, as he humorously put on a thick West Indian accent and an exaggerated swag as he walked to the door. Once again, he seemed to be back to his old self as he greeted Aarif, Teresa, and the stranger.
Welcome to the Den of Iniquity. Enter if you dare,
he said, smiling broadly as he ushered them in. The team all enthusiastically jumped up to welcome and embrace their much-loved manager and publicist. The stranger was quick to step out of their way to give them space while quietly observing the bond that existed between them all. 42-year-old Aarif, who was thick-set with muscle, 5 feet 10 inches tall, sporting a full curly black beard, piercing dark brown eyes and immaculately groomed dark hair, enthusiastically greeted them all. He was born in Lebanon but educated in Britain. Aarif had a look of regality about him, even though dressed casually in gray slacks and a black, short-sleeved open-neck shirt, with a pair of very expensive sunglasses completing the picture. He looked like a man who was assured of himself. Teresa, in her late 30s, on the other hand, was more conservatively dressed, in a light blue summer outfit consisting of a knee-length skirt and a small jacket, worn over the top of a white silk ruffled blouse. She wore stylish flat black shoes, and looked elegant as she took off her sunglasses, to reveal a very pretty face framed by long blonde hair. She was only tiny, but everyone knew her as the pocket rocket who could move mountains. Aarif broke up their excited chatter by saying,
"Great to see you guys, and I would like to congratulate you once again on your fantastic victories yesterday. I am so proud of you all."
Teresa quickly followed up with,
"I am proud of you too, as you are all amazing. I watched the interview you had yesterday with Aziza Donnelly while I was in New York, and it was fabulous. Isn't Aziza just a fantastic lady?"
Everyone was agreeing as Aarif once again took control of the conversation.
I should apologize because I haven't yet introduced you to our very special guest. Please say hello to Michael.
They all started to greet him and introduce themselves when Aarif interrupted once again.
This will surprise you, but it won't be necessary to tell him your names, as you will all soon understand why when he explains his amazing story to you.
They all looked intently at Michael, a 76-year-old man who looked much younger than his age, with musician-styled longish thick white hair, trimmed mustache and goatee beard, intense blue eyes, strong face, and a very fit-looking body. He was wearing black tight-fitting denim jeans and a striking long-sleeved, charcoal gray polo-styled t-shirt with a collar and 3 top buttons. The shirt was eye-catching, as it featured a white lightning-style pattern that started from just below the chest reaching up to the shoulders, and continued around the back including the sleeves, which he had pulled up just below his elbows. Many had likened his appearance to the famous Richard Branson, but they had also remarked that Michael was a much younger and healthier-looking version. Aarif beckoned everyone to sit down on the circular lounge, as he continued with the conversation.
As you know, the reason I wasn't with you during your games was that I was still traveling on a plane flying from Sydney, Australia to Los Angeles Airport. Unfortunately, the connecting flight to here didn't arrive until late last night, so I apologize for not being with you, but I always had great faith you would win.
The team nodded their understanding, and he continued to speak.
Well, there I was on the plane trying to pass away some time, working on my laptop, because as you know, the flight is extremely long, when Michael, who was seated next to me, said, "You have a great team, but there is something they must learn to win this competition." "What is that?" I asked. And he replied, "How to play the greatest game of all." I laughed and said, "You have got the name wrong, because they are actually playing the greatest game on earth, and doing very well, I might add." I had presumed that he knew I was your manager, because we had been widely publicized in Australia. I guess I also sounded a bit indignant because I thought, just my luck. Here I am stuck on a very long flight from Sydney to LA, seated next to one of those know-it-alls. But my attitude didn't seem to faze him at all. He just calmly looked at me, smiled and said, "Would you like to hear a story?"
The team and Teresa chuckled with sympathy at first and then sat more upright in their seats as they eagerly awaited to hear what was coming next.
Well, my first reaction was to say no, but there was something inside of me that said, listen to this man, and so I did. I tell you, my friends, you have no idea how quickly the next few hours flew by, and as Allah is my witness, my mind was opened up to the most amazing story I have ever heard.
Aarif paused for a moment to collect his thoughts and then said,
At first I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because it was mind-blowing, and it challenged so many aspects of my beliefs about life and myself. Gradually, though, my mind was opened up to how the incredible complexities of life were in fact simple and beautiful if only we understood them.
Tears now started to stream down his cheeks as he choked out the words.
You may not believe this, but I was even more blessed when Muhammad, the praised one, appeared to me and guided me patiently to understand Michael's story and see the truth behind it.
He now sobbed with the memory of this revelation, prompting Lotus, who was seated next to him, to put her arm affectionately around his shoulders to comfort him. The rest of the team, including Teresa, had all become visibly upset and didn't know what to do or say, as they had never seen Aarif this emotional before. Somehow, he found a way to compose himself and said,
I had to wait a little while before I boarded the connection flight from LA to get here, and when I sat down on the plane, I was shocked and surprised to see Michael sitting on the seat next to mine. You can imagine how I was feeling, because I was still trying to absorb the story he had just told me. So I said to him, what an incredible coincidence that we are both seated together again. And he simply replied that there is no such thing as coincidence.
Aarif then became extremely excited as he said,
Previously on that flight from Sydney, I had invited Michael to join us today, but I had no idea that we would be sitting together again on the connecting flight to here. It was then that I fully understood, like being hit with a hammer on my head, that there could be no coincidences. Every one of us here is an integral part of this incredible story, and how do I know this? Because it is written.